One client paid me $16,000 in 1 year to do their bookkeeping. In this video, I'm going to talk about how I got that client and how I was able to make $16,000 in only 1 year for one client. My name is Zach Pasquarello and I do bookkeeping for small business owners. I started my bookkeeping business 3 years ago and I want to make these videos so that I can help you start a bookkeeping business and grow your bookkeeping business to the point where you can quit your full-time job, support your family, pay all your bills, work from home, and have the business that you've always wanted. Starting a bookkeeping business is a 4-step process. First, you need to learn QuickBooks and bookkeeping. Second, you need to learn marketing and sales. Third, you need to learn how to communicate with clients. And 4, you need to work really, really hard. Bookkeeping honestly is pretty simple. It's not easy, but it's pretty simple. I work with QuickBooks Online and I do 3 things. I categorize your transactions, I reconcile your accounts, and I generate your financial statements. If you want to schedule a consultation with me, there is a link in the description below. I'd be happy to work with you one-on-one if you need help with your QuickBooks, your bookkeeping, or your business. Okay, let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into it. I want to talk about how one client paid me $16,000 in 1 year to do their bookkeeping. So real quick, I'll talk about what I actually did for this client, and I will tell you this happened 5 months after I started my bookkeeping business. So if you're brand new, if you're thinking about just getting started, in only a few months, you could potentially land a client just like I did, making you $16,000 in 1 year from just one business owner. Okay, now I'm going to talk about how I got this particular client. For me, a lot of my business comes from social media. You need to establish a presence on social media. What does that mean? For me, Facebook is no longer a place where I talk about football. It's no longer a place where I share pictures from college. I have completely transformed my social media into a professional networking website. People spend so much time on social media, and it's a great way for you to connect with people in your community, small business owners, people who are looking to hire you for your bookkeeping. And it's so efficient. You can reach literally thousands of people every day, every night, 24/7 on social media. You no longer need to go to networking groups. You no longer need to go to breakfast meetups or conferences to find networking opportunities. All you need is internet access and social media. You can connect with thousands of people every single day. I'm going to talk a little bit how I was able to leverage my social media to the point where I'm getting clients paying me $16,000 a year for bookkeeping. Once you've learned how to do marketing on your social media platform, and that typically consists of simple, consistent posts. You're not changing the world with these social media posts. You're keeping it simple. You're just making posts that let everybody know that you're a bookkeeper. You might be providing value. You might be giving bookkeeping tips or tax advice on your social media pages. But think of something that you can do simply and consistently, because it's going to take a long time to establish a presence on your social media pages. For me, it took about 3 to 6 months of consistently posting. I recommend post 2 to 4 times per week, every single week for 6 months straight. And then you will start to gain traction, and then people will start to recognize who you are and what you do. Once you've established a presence on your social media, you need to make connections. You need to find like-minded individuals. You need to find business owners. You need to find potential clients on social media that you can connect with and build a relationship with. Consider your social media page to be just like your real life. It's difficult to sell to people if they don't know who you are, if they don't trust you, and if they don't have a connection with you. So first, before you try to sell to people, try to build a connection with them and try to make it a genuine connection. Your goal is to help people with their bookkeeping. So before they are even your client, you can start helping them. That's why I recommend provide value in your marketing posts. That way you can start helping people from day one, and then they'll be more inclined to trust you, and they'll be more likely to hire you as their bookkeeper if you've already helped them in the past. Once you start publishing your daily or weekly bookkeeping tips, and once you start genuinely helping people and providing value for people, they're going to quickly realize that you will be a great asset to their business. You can actually help them with their bookkeeping, you can help them with their business. So you need to make those connections, you need to build those relationships with people on social media. That way you can eventually sell to them. And that's what sales is all about. It's about establishing a presence and then making a connection with people and then finally giving your sales pitch. If you do it in the opposite order, if you try to give somebody a sales pitch before you've established your presence, before you've made that connection, your sales pitch is going to be a waste of time. They're not going to know who you are, and they're not going to care about what services you have to offer, and they're not going to trust you, so they're definitely not going to hire you. Now you need to learn how to make a sales pitch, how to send a DM. It's easier now than it ever has been before, but there's a lot more competition because everybody else is doing it, so you need to know how to stand out. I want to recommend that you avoid a common sales tactic that I see all the time, and that's people casually sliding into your DMs and trying to strike up a conversation. To me, there's nothing more frustrating, and to me as a business owner, I recognize it right away as a sales pitch, and it's just annoying because it's wasting my time. People asking me if I want to grab coffee, or people asking me generic questions about my business or my life or how things are going. To me, it just seems like a cheesy way to start a sales conversation. What has worked really well for me, and what actually worked for me for landing this client paying me $16,000, is I was simple, straightforward, quick, honest, not wasting any time. I sent this person a message on Facebook. I said, hey, I'm a bookkeeper. Let me know if you ever need help with your QuickBooks. That was it. It was short, it was to the point, and I wasn't wasting anybody's time. And then that striked up a conversation. He asked me a couple questions. I asked him a couple questions. We were answering each other. We were genuinely talking, but it was straightforward and it was to the point. He knew that I was trying to sell him on bookkeeping, but I'd already established my presence on social media, so he knew who I was. I already made that connection with him, so he already trusted me. We already built that relationship, and then I sent him the message, and then we started the conversation, and then I landed the sale. Okay. Landing the sale is the hard part, but the most important part is learning how to give a client a fair, honest, and accurate quote. So now that you've landed the sale, now that you've done the hard part, you need to finish and you need to send them a quote. And it's tricky because you need to know how much to quote them. If you quote them too much, they'll say no. If you quote them too little, they're going to say yes, but you're going to miss out on a lot of potential revenue. You need two things after you've landed the sale in order to give somebody a quote. You need to be invited to their QuickBooks, and you need their 3 most recent bank statements. Unless they want you to do an entire year cleanup, then you need all 12 months of their bank statements. But if they just want you to do current bookkeeping, you need to be invited to their QuickBooks account, and you need their 3 most recent bank statements. And the reason I say that is because you need to quote them based on the size and complexity of their business. So you can look through their QuickBooks, you can look through their bank statements, and you can see how many transactions they have. My general rule of thumb is to quote people $2 per transaction for all accounts: credit card accounts, checking accounts, savings accounts. I look at everything. I add up everything over the course of the 3 most recent months, divide it by 3 to get the average number of transactions per month, and then multiply that by 2. So if a client has 150 transactions on average per month across all their accounts, I'll charge them $300 per month. And if they want me to do an entire year of cleanup, it's the same concept. I do $300 per month for the past 12 months. So that's $3,600 to do all 12 months of their bookkeeping. And for this particular client who paid me $16,000, that's exactly what happened. He needed me to do 2 years of cleanup, so I charged him $9,000 to do 2 years of cleanup. And then I charged him $500 per month for the next 12 months. So he ended up paying me $6,000 to do bookkeeping in that year and $9,000 to do the 2 previous years of bookkeeping. And that's how I made $16,000 from that one client. So for my clients, I don't charge per hour. I typically charge per month. and my bare minimum is $250. So even if they only have 50 transactions per month, that should technically be $100 based on my formula and my calculations, but my bare minimum is $250 just because I've learned that onboarding a new client, communicating with a new client, working with a new client, dealing with all the questions and the meetings, it ends up being a lot more work. So $100 is just not enough. So if anybody wants to hire me, they need to pay me a bare minimum of $250 for monthly bookkeeping. But if they have more than 125 transactions per month, then I'll charge them more, all the way up to $600 or $700 per month. So that's how I got this client who paid me $16,000 in 1 year. First of all, I established a presence on social media. I made a connection with him, and then I knew how to send him a DM to give my sales pitch, and then I knew how to quote him. So I got all of the information I needed, and then I charged him $500 per month for the past 2 years and for the current year, and that's how I made $16,000 in 1 year from one client.